Hi Tab, how's life?
Good, good. How about you?
It's very uncomfortable to speak formally because we are not used to speak formally. And it's a very beautiful morning today, and nice that I'm talking to you.
Hmm.
All right, so I wanted to do this for a while, like since 2022, 23. We know each other for a while now, but I was always into like starting my own podcast. But finally, I started in 2024 December, or you can say 2025. And yeah, here we are. So in this episode we will talk about we will talk about what you do, we will talk about some of the things that we like this part of the world, like Asia, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, whatever it is, so we should follow more, and some of the interesting takes of you about life that I'm pretty impressed about. So I just want to know. My audience might not know you personally, so do you want to just give a brief introduction about yourself? Not like a formal one, I am a billionaire, I am the founder of Tesla, nothing like that. You as a person, like, okay,
Um,
you may be a sensitive person, you maybe like flowers, so just a small introduction for my audience.
right. I wish I could start with my name is Tabitha and I'm a billionaire, but alas, not quite, not yet. um, my name's Tabitha and I live in Australia. I grew up in a small country town of 2,500 people. Um, but yeah, I was born in the city. I've lived half city, half country all my life. I've traveled around everywhere, lived in two other countries. I never quite really knew where I belonged until I got to this town and arrived in this town. Well, actually, I did some real estate deals here in 2022, but I arrived back here last year with my new partner and I realized that this is my forever home. So I've spent my whole life seeking, thinking there must be a better way to do life than just having some crappy job that I hate. My parents were never happy, they never had any money, and I just used to wonder why they struggled so much on life in life when I used to watch all these rich people on TV. Of course, the rich people on TV weren't real, but I knew there were real people in the world who were like those people on TV. And I could never understand why my parents were so poor and so unhappy when these rich people existed. So I kind of made it my life's mission to work out how to live in abundance and happiness, and just, yeah, transcend the lives that my parents had. So I have great passion for real estate, for interior design, for personal development, for reading books. In fact, it was books that brought us together, wasn't it?
Yeah, in
I can't remember.
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. We bonded over some. Well, we made a comment about some personal development books, and we've been chatting ever since.
Yeah. I actually made a review book about the famous Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and also one about
Ah,
maybe Robin Sharma book. Then maybe we
yes.
started. Okay, all right, it's not important.
Mm.
Okay, interesting take on your parents were poor, and many generations before that, maybe some of the people are wealthy from childhood. They had a lot of wealth, but most of average person, but like most of the majorities are like, okay, their previous generations were not that rich, but they're trying to climb up the ladder, or they are trying to create better things, do better things, maybe with online earning, maybe with doing businesses, maybe they are realizing more, maybe they are getting more, I mean, better education, maybe they're moving from a third world country to a first world country, and then trying to bring their people there. So there might be many things. So what do you think? I want to start my questions from here because I want my audience to get proper value. You are living a good life, I know. Not like a billionaire life, but a very good life, I would say. So, apart from this art and culture, where I'll go to I mean, in the last, when we will be ending the podcast, we will go there and we'll have a fun chat. But uh, how or when do you understand, or did you find out that, okay, I just don't want to end up living like my parents, with lack of money or like lack of resources, or like, okay, when did you think, all right, there can be better way of life? There is a seminal moment, right? So is there
Mm.
any seminal moment?
Well,
Like
no, I
for
wouldn't
me,
say
all
so.
right, just
I mean,
for me, it was before COVID. when I was reading a lot of books, hearing people like Tim Ferriss, hearing people like Tony Robbins, or hearing people like someone called Sandeep Maheshwari, then I realized, okay, there can be better ways. So, what is your story in that?
So yeah, like I said, I grew up watching my parents be, and when I say my parents were poor, I mean they're poor by Australian standards, which is
Right.
extremely wealthy compared to some other countries. I mean, even the poorest person in this
Have
country
a car.
is we all have access to fresh water. We all have food. Even homeless people can get food. And my parents were never homeless. So I'd say they were sort of on the lower side of average. But
Right.
yeah, so I used to grow up comparing my parents to the fictional rich people on TV and go like, what is wrong with you? Like, why why are you so unhappy? Why do we not have much money? I couldn't work it out. And then I grew up and went through school, and unfortunately, like a lot of people, I just kind of went through my early life fairly unconsciously. As they say, youth is wasted on the young.
You're young too.
Um,
You're glowing
yeah,
more than me.
meaning that when you're young enough to have all the opportunities and do all the things, you're not conscious of what's available or what you're capable
Mhm.
of, and by the time you're old enough to realize what you're capable of, sometimes like time is running out. But I've spent my whole life trying to get ahead, basically my big mission in life has been to get out of the rat race because I've always hated working. Um, Everybody in my family just had crappy office jobs that they hated. The jobs were boring. They didn't pay much money. They just barely paid the bills, and nobody was happy. And I got really great grades, but I think because of my parental programming, and I probably left school with low self-esteem because my parents were not that great, and um, I honestly didn't think they loved me, and I certainly didn't love them. So, despite the
I
fact that I
mean,
left
you
school with
genuinely
really
had that
great grades,
realization. I mean, that's a dark question, I know. And if you don't like it, I will carry it out. But there is a moment, you genuinely felt like, okay, they didn't love me or something like that.
well, I remember thinking in primary school, I was standing in the front yard of my primary school, in the playground, and I remember thinking that I knew I didn't love my parents, and I wondered if I was weird because I didn't love my parents. Because I thought as a primary school kid, I was probably supposed to love my parents, but I knew that I didn't. But it didn't bother me that much. My parents were just kind of strangers that just lived at the same address as me, like, and my sister too. We were just four people just living at the same address
So you
and
have
all
another
had in
sister,
common
right?
one sister, yeah.
All right.
Um, but I remember looking at some of the families of my friends were really close and they encouraged each other and they did things for each other. And my family were just four total strangers who just happened to live in the same house. But that didn't bother me. But as I left school, as I was saying, I just sort of went through life unconsciously, and I just kind of life just sort of absorbed me, if you know what I mean. Meaning that I for many years I wasn't on this conscious journey of I want to live a better life. I want to get out of the rat race. I want to retire early. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We'll cut that part. No issue. You can get the call if it's important.
No, no, that was just my alarm going off to tell me to cook dinner because sometimes I forget. What was I saying?
All right. So you were saying you realized that you are living four people in a house with not compassion, and then it
Yeah,
didn't
no,
bother you, and you understood that you have your own way. Yeah.
yeah, no, but I've moved on from that. Anyway, so yeah, life just kind of absorbed me, if you know what I mean. And I wasn't consciously going through life. I was just unconsciously living this unhappy life that I didn't enjoy because I didn't like my job. And if you don't like your job and you have to work full time to pay the bills, it is a very miserable, unhappy life. And I wouldn't wish, a crappy job that you hate on anyone. I think it's the worst, one of the worst ways you can possibly live. Um,
Just a
so
connected question. What did you do? What was your job at that time? Like when you were at my age, that the job you didn't like. What was the job?
all of them.
I mean, you didn't
Oh,
like all of
yeah.
them. Like, what type of a job you did? I know you did modeling, painting, and now you're doing something else. and you were also map
Well,
trainer at times. But at that time, when you were living your life unconsciously, what type of a job you did?
yeah. So I was doing bar work. So I was working in a pub, just serving alcohol to people. And then I moved to Sydney and I was doing office work. And, office work is really not that interesting.
It's
Unless you
interesting
have
for
the type of
some.
career. Yeah, yeah, for some, it wasn't interesting for me because I'm a very creative person and I always have had a creative spark in me, but I didn't realize until recently just how vitally important it is for me to have a physical creative outlet on a daily basis. Otherwise, I'm just very unhappy.
All right.
And I wish I had realized that when I left school. If I'd left school, if I realized how important it was for me to be creative, um, I would have become an architect. In fact, if I could go back in time to the year I left school, I would finish school, I'd go to university, I'd become an architect, and I'd live happily ever after and make a lot
Yeah,
of
I
money.
had this question like in 40 minutes in our conversation, but you're doing something related to architect. We will go back. We'll go to that part as well. But after what? After that?
Uh, I've just done crappy office jobs my whole life. And then I drove a taxi for a while, and then I drove a concrete truck, and then I went back to a crappy office job, and then I went on welfare for a while because I hated working so much. I thought I was going to go insane. So I just went on welfare and just sat around doing nothing. The government in Australia, the government just pays you to do nothing if you if you can't work or you don't want to work. Um, and then in late 2021, um, I got some money out of my now. Oh, I don't know if you have this in Bangladesh. In America they talk about their 501k. That's their retirement account that they save money into while they're working.
Yeah, yeah. We
You-
have that.
You're
We
in,
have that in government
yeah.
jobs and also some MNC jobs. But
Well,
what
in
we
Australia,
don't
you
have
don't. You
is,
don't.
sorry to cut you off. What we don't have is what we discussed in the past, the unemployment wages.
Ah,
We don't
right,
have.
right. Yeah.
Right.
So in Australia, you don't get that retirement money when you leave the job. You don't get it until you turn 67. So you save up all the retirement funds from all the different jobs you have. It all goes into the same account, and then when you're on your 67th birthday, you can take that money out and start living on it. Anyway, so during COVID, the Australian government, because everybody was losing their jobs and everybody was broke, so the Australian government said, "All right, everybody can take $10,000 out of their retirement account, and you can just use it to live on if you want." So I
Hmm.
took 10,000 out and I used 5,000 of that to invest in an I Love Real Estate membership.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a global thing. People can look this up. It's iloverealestate.tv. And I invested in that program. It cost me 5,000 Australian dollars. And what I learned from that program taught me how to flip houses. And I did 3 real estate deals in 2022 and I made 80,000 Australian dollars in 4 months.
80,000 Australian dollars. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
in 4 months, which is amazing because at the time I was living on welfare and that welfare was $28,000 a year. So I was living on 28,000 a year and then I made $80,000 in 4 months. And then a very interesting thing happened. I had so much fun making this money. So I told you I had all these shitty jobs that I hated. I did the flip houses and I made so much money. And I was so happy and I had all this money in the bank. And then you know what happened? My financial thermostat kicked in and my happiness thermostat kicked in. And it went, oh my God. No, unconsciously, I went, oh my God, too much money, too much success, too much happiness. Can't do this. This is not who I am. Need to destroy this. Get rid of all this money. We can't be this happy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we all have a happiness. You know what a thermostat is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you get
But
too
just for
happy,
our
you get
audience,
too
could you
much
please
money.
simplify it?
So we all have this thing in our subconscious mind is we have a set amount of money that we're comfortable having.
Yeah,
We have a set level of health that we're comfortable having. We have a
yeah.
set level of happiness and a set level of the quality of our relationships. Once we go above that, like let's say you're comfortable with having 5,000 taka in the bank. If you go into a windfall and you all of a sudden have 10,000 taka in the bank, your subconscious mind goes, oh, no, 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 no. We shouldn't have more than 5,000 because that's what we're comfortable with. So what do? You will find a way of getting rid of that extra $5,000. You'll invest it in something where you get ripped off or you'll have it stolen from you or some friend will ask to borrow it and never give it back. There will be some
True.
way you will get rid of that money. So
Hmm.
that's what happened to me. I had this 80,000. I tried to buy a house. I couldn't make that work. Then I moved away to a couple different city. And then over the next
Is it
9 months,
Copserver?
sorry,
Is it the city that is Copserver?
no, I moved to Brisbane. I
Brisbane.
moved
Okay.
from Coffs Harbour to Brisbane. Anyway, over the course of the next 9 months, I got rid of that $80,000. I mean, I didn't spend it on drugs and hookers or anything.
Yeah.
Um,
What was that? How did
so
you
I
spend
was
it? That's a
trying,
lot of money for me.
yeah, well, it was a lot of money for me too, but I knew that I couldn't live on $80,000 for the rest of my life, and I lost my investors, so I had to get new investors before I could do new flip houses. So I was trying to work out a way of how I could turn that $80,000 into a passive income so that I could live on it.
Yeah.
And I had all these ideas. I signed up for this coaching and that online course and this Airbnb program and this other thing. And in the course of trying to create passive income, I lost that $80,000. Now, the reason I lost that $80,000 is because when I made the 80,000, I was focused on making money, having income coming in. But here, now this is a very important distinction. When I lost the money, guess what? My focus changed from earning money in to, oh my God, I better not lose this money. How do I make this money last? It's not enough for me to live on.
I
So my
think
income,
I
my
think that
my
there is a
focus
point like
went,
I think there is a point like that in sorry, this is very relevant. That's why I'm interrupting. Sorry for that.
yeah,
Um, there is a point like there is a exact point in the book called Think and Grow Rich. Like
mm-hmm.
how you approach money, and that's how your approach towards everything change. Your actions become very restricted, and you don't flow like water. So I think there is the story is similar. All right, so you can continue from here.
Yeah, so my focus went from earning money in and having abundance and having fun making money, which was the first time in my life I'd ever had fun making money. And then my focus went on, it turned to lack. Like, oh my God, this $80,000, I can't live on this for the rest of my life. What am I going to do? The money's going to run out. How do I turn it into income? Oh my God, oh my God. And I went from excited to make money mode to, oh my God, freaking out. And yeah. And so, that which she feareth has to come upon her. That's out of the Bible. Well, the sexist male versions in the Bible. Um, and so that which I feared came upon me. And then 9 months later, the money was gone. So then I had this, through this weird series of coincidences, I got this random text message from a real estate agent in a town like 5 hours drive away that I hadn't spoken to for over a year. And she just messaged me and said, "Just wondering if you're looking to buy, rent, or sell anything." And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I'm just about to turn 50, and I'm still renting, and I hate renting, and I want to buy my own. I desperately want to buy my own home." Um, and she was in this town called Gunnedah, which I had nothing to do with. The only reason she had my number was because I travelled out there like a year previously, looking for a real estate deal to buy.
Hmm.
Didn't make that deal work. Gave my number to her on the way back. And then I thought to myself, okay, because I always listen to the signs from the universe. So the universe is pointing my eyes to this town called Gunnedah. So let's have a look at what's here. So I got onto realestate.com and I found this big old house, big 4 bedroom house for sale for $285,000. Now in Australia, a $285,000 house, that is cheap, very cheap. So I thought,
Not
oh,
cheap
and
to me, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh well. In this country, yeah, it's cheap.
All right.
And it was a renovator. It needed a lot of work. And so this house had been on the market for a long time. It had been on the market for almost 2 years. Nobody wanted it because the floor was crooked. It was very old. It was in a part of town that there was nothing wrong with the part of town, but nobody wanted to live there because the flour mill was across the road. There was the train crossing nearby. Anyway, I thought it was good because it was walking distance to town. So I did a deal where I offered to buy the house for no deposit, so no money down, 12 months to settle, so 12 months to come up with the money, and I moved into this house. And I had to pay rent while I was waiting to get the money to settle.
Mm.
During that time, I met my partner. Um, Cut a long story short, 12 months forward, I couldn't settle on the house because I couldn't get a job in this town. And so I had to leave. We renovated the kitchen, but I had to leave all that behind because didn't have the money to buy the house. And then we came back to this town, which is where I did the where I made the original $80,000 in 2022. So I came back to this town. All the beautiful old houses that are desperate to be renovated are still here. And the amazing real estate agent who helped me so much, helped me make that money, he's still here. And I've got my new partner who's a carpenter. But he's not working on the flip houses though, but he will advise me, like he will be my consultant. So if I say I want the kitchen to look like this, he'll say,
Yeah,
oh,
since
you
he's
know,
a
it'll be
carpenter, he'll
cheaper if you do
understand.
this. Yeah, yeah. So I'm about to launch back into my house flipping business, which makes me so happy because after decades of working in soul destroying jobs that I hated so much, this is a business that I can honestly say I really love it. I love it.
And
It's so much fun and I can make so much money.
all right, making so much money is other way, but since you said that you like to be creative and you understand that you have a creative self inside you, so all right, a flipping house and renovating it and understanding where I should put this and that and that. So it also like turn you on in terms of your creative self as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you see that.
Uh, Sorry, what'd you say? Talk about.
All right, I just said since you understood at a very like at a very after you turned like 30, so you understood that you were creative as well and you hated office job. Since in this job, since you have to renovate the house and then you have to sell the property, so you could also show some creativity when you are renovating it,
Yeah.
and so that is why it is more fulfilling other than money as well, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah. 100%. That's a very good point. Yeah. I mean, the money's great. Like, you know, we need money to live in society unless you're like, I don't know, living in the Mongolian desert or something and you're just eating rabbits and you don't have to pay for electricity or a car or anything like that. But for
I
most
can't
of us, we
imagine
need
eating
money to
rabbits,
live.
by the way. I hate that. I'm like Doraemon. I don't like it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we all need money to pay for the roof over our heads, to pay for
Yeah.
food, to pay for our cars, our petrol, the things we like to do for fun. I know you like coffee. Um, so the money's great and it is necessary, but yeah, that is a very good point that you just made. What is more important to me is that um, I'm living what I consider my vocational purpose. So the thing that I was put on this earth to do, which is to take crusty old houses that are just falling down, unloved, unrenovated, unmaintained, and put some investors' money into them and make them beautiful and
And
sell
then
them.
selling
So
it.
so not only do we make money, but I remember the second flip house I did particularly. That house was bought by a couple, a pair of first home owners. So they were a young
First time
couple. They were
owners. So they
buying
were
their
very
first
happy, I would
house.
say.
Yeah, and they fell madly in love with that house. It had a beautiful rural view at the back. If you want, you can edit some of my Instagram photos into here so that people can see
Okay.
the view of the house. And I just remember feeling so happy. That house didn't make as much money, and my investor wasn't all that happy because we didn't make so much money on that house. But I remember feeling how happy I was that I'd taken this ugly old former public housing house and turned it into a beautiful family home that this couple and their four cats
Four
absolutely
cats.
loved.
Oh, beautiful.
Four cats, yeah. And yeah, and now they're still living in that house. So yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So which one it is where you got 80,000?
Where?
Which year you got 80,000? Like when you become wealthy or rich? Which year it is? Is it 2024,
I did those deals in 2022.
2022? All right. So
Yeah,
you
and then,
you were in contact with me at that time as well. I
yeah,
never
yeah,
knew, I never knew you were that rich at that time. Nice.
yeah.
That's the
You
best
know
part
what? I
about.
didn't tell you. Yeah, I didn't tell you. You can edit this out if you want, but I didn't tell you this because I didn't know if how hard it was to buy a home in Bangladesh, and I didn't want to be like boasting. Like I didn't want you to feel bad that I'd made money on these houses if it was impossible for you to do because I know that sucks when you hear somebody, like everybody hears Richard Branson's story, but how many other people can do what he's done?
No, no, he can. Yeah, yeah. You cannot buy an air. He became wealthy with airport business, right?
Yeah, but even before that, he was buying Necker Island for cents in the dollar. I mean, he had balls from day one. Anyway, back on track. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I made the money in 2022, and then in 2023 and 2024, I was just I'd lost the money and I felt like such a loser. I was like, oh God, what kind of a loser makes $80,000 and then doesn't even put it into real estate? So I had a bit of a pity party that went on for 2 years and I felt really stupid. And then, like I said, I met my partner. We left the house that we couldn't buy out west. We moved back here. So we moved 5 hours towards the coast. And now that I'm back in the original town where I made money, I'm super happy and I'm going to flip between 4 and 6 houses in 2025. So if I do that right, and if they're the right houses that make the money that I'm expecting, I should be on track to make between 250 and 300,000 Australian dollars this year. And I
Wow.
guarantee you, I will not lose that money. I will put that money into real estate, 100%.
Nice. Yeah. Many billionaires become millionaire and billionaires doing real estate. You can name anyone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can be Dwayne
Donald
Johnson.
Trump.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Donald Trump. Yeah. Yeah, so real estate is the safest investment, but currently Bangladeshi current political situation is not that stable, so real estate might not be a good choice in here. But all right, so many money talks happen, but now I'm more interested about your personal journey of spirituality, or you can say learning and discovering more about yourself. That's the best part that brought you and me together in this conversation. Other than that, we
Mm-hmm.
never did anything with housekeeping because I didn't know anything about it. And you talk about manifestation, reading books, and I can see a very beautiful art piece behind you. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that for our audience.
Manifestation. Yeah. Um, so like I said, I grew up with parents who were unhappy and they didn't have any money. And I couldn't work out why they were so different from the people on TV. Of course, when I was 8 years old, I didn't necessarily realize the people on TV were not real. But I've always thinking how there's always this thought in the back of my head, how can I be happier than my parents? How can I be wealthier than my parents? Because your parents are the standard that you grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like your normal. The way you grew up in your household, that's your normal. And for me, that normal was pretty crap. It wasn't very nice. So I was always like, how do I get happier? And eventually, I was introduced to the world of personal development back in 2003. I was driving taxis and I picked up a passenger. Yeah, so I grew up going to Catholic schools, which was great education, but the Catholic Church is very, very sexist. I remember wanting to become an altar boy altar girl when I grew up, only to be told that I couldn't do this because I wasn't a boy. So because I didn't have a penis, basically I couldn't help the priest. And I thought that was ridiculous. And for many years I was very, very angry with God because I thought that God didn't like women or girls. Of course, when I grew up, I became smart enough to realize that it was nothing to do with God. It was just the old men in Rome who run the Catholic Church who don't like women or girls. Anyway, so for many years, I was a God hating atheist. I thought, well, if God's a sexist prick, I don't want anything to do with it. But there was some part of my mind that just wouldn't give up. Like I've always felt that there's something bigger than me, something out here. Like, I don't pump my own heart. I don't breathe my lungs. I didn't give this body life. There's something, I don't make the flowers grow. There's something bigger than me that's here, that I always thought was pretty beautiful, but I could never find it in any religion, because religion is, you add humans to any idea, and add dysfunctional humans to any idea, and they will destroy it and make that idea serve their ego. Such as people who use religion to denigrate women, denigrate gay people, denigrate specific races, whatever. But I just kept searching and searching and searching, and then eventually, through getting introduced to self-help books, I discovered this idea of being spiritual but with no religion. And this is, I knew that this was what suited me. I will never call myself a part of any religion, but I do very much believe in a higher power. And I believe that when we get in alignment with that higher power can help us create our life in ways that our own human selves, our own egos are not capable of doing. So if we have our egos in charge all the time, we'll go, oh, I need to marry this person, I need to buy this house, I need to move to this city, I need to buy this car. But does any of that lead to happiness? if you look at the vast majority of the world, the answer is no, not really. However, if you look at inspired people, people who allow the universe to run their lives for them, and if you get your ego out of the way and you tap into your higher self by developing your intuition, and you sort of the saying is to let go and let God. Instead of your egotistical mind making your decisions, you let your intuitive mind make your decisions, and your intuitive mind is connected to your higher self. Then life can unfold in magical, mysterious, synchronistic ways where crazy things happen. Like, for example, I go to an. Does that sound annoying?
It's completely fine. It's not coming that way.
That's my neighbor using some sort of a tool. Um,
It's
so
fine.
yeah, so that's where. So then crazy things happen. Like I go to an art class late last year to model for a life drawing class, and I meet a lady there who's selling a house and wants to invest in flip houses. Now,
You
I
cannot
myself,
have any logic behind that, right?
no, I couldn't have orchestrated that. There's
Yeah.
no way I could have known that I would find a potential investor at art class. Like there's no relation there. But the universe knew. The universe knew that she was going to be there that day. And it was
True.
interesting because I was scheduled to do that modeling weeks before. Now I don't know if she would have been at the class that day, but it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed because the art teacher is very disorganized, and she kept booking me in for a date and then forgetting she'd booked me in. So anyway, by the time the date I finally arrived, I showed up, and yeah, this lady was there, and yeah, so yeah,
You
crazy
got a
stuff
good
like that.
investment deal, right?
Not yet. We're still I'm still talking to her. I'm still getting her on board. But there's a good chance we could do a lot of deals together in the future.
All right.
Um,
Yeah. So, if I ask you, what was the first book that led you towards this path? I mean, you understood more about you as a human being. You can say, I mean, you walk towards the supermarket in maybe Sydney, and you see five people around you. They're not spiritual, and they will not think as deep as you think. They will not read that ancient Indian writer's book. Uh, so what was that book, or what was that thought that changed you? You already said that, okay, you did not like the life that you had at that time, and you understood, okay, God cannot be that, selective, like, okay, I will only give my love and kindness towards man, not woman. You understood that.
yeah.
But you said you started reading a book. What was the first book, like the first step towards it?
I don't know if I could pinpoint to a specific book. Um, I was told, yeah. Probably one of the first books I ever read was "You Can Heal Your Life" by Louise
You
Hay.
Can Heal Your Life. I read that book. Yeah.
You know that. That's a very powerful book. A lot of people have read that book. Um, she talks about affirmations, about the fact that we create our own realities. Um, and yeah, I love that. So you just touched on there, how can God be like so nice to some people and so mean to other people? And I don't believe that God is nice or mean. I believe that God gave us all the same opportunities. Yes, we're born in different countries to different parents, but I believe the main thing that makes one person's life amazing and the next person's life horrible is nothing to do with God. It's to do with our thoughts becoming our actions becoming our reality. Like we literally create every single thing in our life. And it's easy for people to take credit for, oh, look at this beautiful baby I had, look at this PhD I completed, look at this amazing car I bought. Everybody loves to take credit for the good things, but nobody wants to take responsibility for, oh, look, I didn't pay attention to my relationship and now we're divorced. I didn't pay attention to my finances and now I'm bankrupt.
What about those
Yeah,
people who cheat?
we cheat. Well, yeah, exactly. I allowed my subconscious desire to sleep with somebody else to destroy my relationship. So, and nobody really wants to take responsibility for that shitty stuff because it makes you look like a bit of a fool, right? But here's the important thing about that. When you finally have the courage to take responsibility for the fact that you have actually literally created every single thing in your life, all the amazing things and all the terrible things,
Hmm.
once you take responsibility for creating the unhappy things, guess what? Then and only then do you have the power to uncreate them or recreate them. Because
That's
whatever
very
you've got,
powerful statement.
yeah, Yeah, well, if you've got bad things in your life that are making you unhappy and you think the world has done it to you, like, oh, my mother did this to me, God did this to me, the government did this to me, then you're just a victim. And how much power do victims have to change their situation? None whatsoever.
No power.
So you have to take responsibility. You have to accept that you created the bankruptcy, you created the divorce, you created the whatever, and then you can go, okay, every shitty thing that I created, I can recreate that as an amazing thing.
Understood. Okay, so back to your story. So, um, since you said there is not a single book or single thing that inspired you here or inspired you to think about like doing meditation, maybe you used to give me all these pictures of beaches where you just went there and sit, and you cannot expect a 9 to 5 person to go there because they will always have this thought, all right, what if my boss know that I am here, what if my holidays are there are many problems in corporate life or a normal life, but you chose to have this life where you can like be in a beach and see mountains and also do meditation and then also come back and do your work with 120% passion. So there is a American guy called the Naval Ravikant. Have you heard of him?
What's his name?
Naval Ravikant.
No.
He's
Sounds
new in.
Indian.
Yeah, he's the founder of Angelista, famous fund hedge fund collection company or whatever it is. But speaks about these things like as a person, you are
Uh-huh.
meant to sprint. You don't spend meant to like run a marathon. You work, and then you take rest, and then you do like maybe painting, then you do maybe a mountain biking. So that's what I was actually asking. Other than this,
What you do, who you do it with, how you do it, way more important than how hard you work, right? Outputs are non-linear based on the quality of the work that you put in. The right way to work is like a lion. You and I are not like cows. We're not meant to graze all day, right? We're meant to hunt like lions. We're closer to carnivores in our omnivorous development than we are to
materialistic life, you have a very amazing spiritual life, and you took the responsibility of your life uh, at after an age, and you understood all these things. So if a person like just for a person like me who wants to understand all these things and maybe living in another part of the world where you might not find a big mountain but you have a roof, like you can go to the rooftop or you can go to the nearest pond,
Hmm.
so you can also manifest, you can also wake up early and do your morning journals and stuff. So how they can get started, what are the first steps, and how they should approach everything? I
Well,
know
the
i'm
most
i'm asking a
important,
lot of things, but you understand what I'm
yeah,
actually
yeah, I get
meaning.
it.
Yeah.
Um, the most important thing about that and what you said is you don't need to have access to a rooftop or be living in a first world country or any of that, because as long as you
Hmm.
have 5 minutes to yourself, you could
five
meditate in the
minutes
bottom of a coal mine,
5 minutes.
literally 5 minutes. Well, it's helpful if you have more, 15, 20 an hour, that's great. But if you've only got 5 minutes during the day, let's say the only spare time you have during the day is when you're go to the toilet. Set set the alarm on your
Yeah.
phone and sit there on the toilet and set the alarm on your phone for 5 minutes and just pretend you're doing like a giant poop and it's taking you a long time. And just sit there and close your eyes. And it's just a matter of being present in the here and now. I've realized that the best way to be happy is to stay out of the future, stay out of the past, be here now. Ram
Yeah,
Dass wrote this great book back in the 60s, I think, called Be Here Now.
there's
And that is
another
really,
latest book called living in present. You can also.
yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, is that the reason
So
why everyone all the meditation focus you to be in like focus on your breath, because breath cannot be in past or future?
exactly, exactly. Couldn't have said it better. And that's, I think, part of the reason why yoga postures are so demanding on the body, because when you're doing these demanding yoga postures, you're too busy trying to work out how you can bend your left leg like that and how you can stop your right leg from going dead. And you cannot be in the past or the future doing yoga unless you're comfortably in a pose and then your mind starts to wander. But
Yeah.
so that's the first thing I would say is be here now, and it doesn't matter where you are, what your circumstances are, how much you hate your job, how much you hate the country you live in, whatever it is, you can be happy right now by simply being present, focus on your breath, focus on the fact that you're alive, And even though sometimes it might not seem like it, this life is like as if we have a magical wand and we wave the wand. The wand is called our thoughts. And we wave our wand out there and we put our thoughts out into the world and boom, it's like abracadabra. What we think happens in reality. So being present here and now is the first part of it. And the second part is about gratitude.
This is my gratitude. A book or a diary?
It's a diary. It's a journal.
Nice.
So this is my 2025 gratitude journal. And it's just got pages like a diary, and you write all the things that you're grateful for that day.
Can I see something that you wrote? I want to see your handwriting.
You're such a voyeur, Tanmoy. No, that's cool. Hang on. Oh, February. January. All right. There you go. There's my.
No, I just want to show my viewer the practicality. All right. So you wrote that with hand, right? Didn't type it out.
Yeah. I got my favorite green pen. I love my green pen.
All right.
So I'm writing this every day. So I would say if I had to boil happiness down to two things, I would say number one, be present. No matter what you're doing, whether you are in the toilet having a wee, whether you're making dinner, whether you're celebrating your child's first birthday, whether you're in the process of losing your job, whether you're making a podcast, whether you're planting a tree in the garden, be fully present for whatever you are doing. Don't have your mind off on 6 other different subjects. That's where misery starts.
Okay.
Be present. You always ask yourself, what is the present moment asking of me right now? What is the present moment? Okay, the cat's just come in meowing. The present moment is asking me to feed the cat. That's all I need to do right now. Okay? I'm driving along and I've come to a stop sign and there's another car coming. The present moment is asking me to stop my car and let that other car go. Really, when you boil life down to its simplest moments, and I'm getting goosebumps now because this is like the biggest secret I've discovered in my whole 51 years on this planet, is you stay connected to the present moment. Ask, what is the present moment asking of me now? You don't have to plan your life. You don't have to orchestrate how you're going to have $1 million in the bank or how you're going to get your MBA, because if you stay present every single moment, guess what? The universe does it for you. Just like me going to an art class and there's an investor. I couldn't have planned that. The universe did that for me.
Interesting. Okay, I noticed something in your journal. I know you wrote that, intentionally, that you managed to somehow write it with I voice. Whatever happened with me. I am happy today. I am in I'm in love with everything that's around me. I am in love, or I am taking. So, is there anything that is intentional?
Absolutely.
Not saying okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, the I am statement is the most powerful statement we can ever make. And it's powerful whether you're saying I am a genius or I am a loser. Whatever you say, whatever word follows the words I am becomes your reality, especially if you really believe it on a subconscious level. So when you're doing your manifestations, never do it in the future, as in I will become a billionaire. Never do it in the third person, it's great now that Tabitha has become a billionaire. No, you've got to do it first person and in the present moment. I am a happy billionaire. Don't just say what you want. Add a feeling or an emotion to it. Because I'll tell you a story about how I manifested something that I really wanted, but I manifested it in a way that actually made me really unhappy. I love swimming. I love being in the pool. And wherever I am, I always want to be like, put me in a lake, a river, a pool, the ocean. I'm just happy if I'm in the water. And so I was up in Brisbane. I was looking I had to have a share house because it was the only way I could afford to live. I was looking for a house and I was determined to move into a house where there was a swimming pool in the backyard. And so I had this screensaver on my phone that was the beautiful blue sparkling waters of a pool, and it had 2 female feet in it. And I moved into the share house, and the lady who was in charge of it was not a super nice person. And there were like 5 random people living there. And as soon as I saw this pool it was the most enormous backyard pool I'd ever seen in my whole life. And I was like, oh my God, this is my happy place. This pool is my heaven. And I literally swam in that pool every single day. But do you know what? I was so focused on having the physical thing, the pool, and I kept looking at this photo of my feet in the pool, and then it actually manifested. I forgot to focus on how I wanted to feel in that pool. And what happened in that
Yeah.
house was awful. That lady was horrible to me. Some other people that lived in the house were awful to me. When I left, it was a really ugly situation that involved the police. Like, it was just awful in every way. And that taught me the very, very important lesson to not be materialistic. It's okay to want a pool, a house with a pool, but rather than focusing on the physical thing, the pool, focus on how I'm feeling when I'm
Feeling.
in the
Yes.
pool.
True, true.
So if I had
Mm.
been focusing on how happy I was in the pool, guess what? I never would have moved into that house.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
And I
I'm trying
talk
to
about
relate
this
with my life as well. In some situations, maybe you wanted a very good job. You wanted a very good job with a great desk. All right. So then you went to that job. You are leaving the job, but the work that you're doing is not that satisfying, and you're not liking it that much. And the supervisor you got was, less knowledgeable than you and behave like he or she knows everything, and at the same time it makes your work feel horrible, and eventually the performance of your department doesn't like doesn't go up to the ladder, and then eventually the like they look for other people. They maybe have fired your boss, maybe fired you, and eventually it doesn't work. So manifesting for a good desk, manifesting for a very amazing MacBook Pro is good, but of course, how I want to feel after buying that, after getting that desk is also important, right?
Yes, because everything that we think we want, we don't want the actual thing. Nobody really wants a Ferrari. Nobody really wants to date a model. Nobody really wants to earn $600,000 a year. What we really want is how we think we're going to feel when we're driving the Ferrari, when we're dating the model, when we're earning 600,000 a year. Because in case the viewers haven't realized, everything about our life is experienced in our minds.
Yeah,
Have you ever experienced anything in your life that happened outside of your mind?
nothing. It's all, everything is inside,
All in our minds.
all in our
So
mind. Yeah.
when you're thinking about, I want a fancy red sports car, no, you don't. Maybe you want to feel important, maybe you want to feel sexy, maybe you want to
You want to
feel
let other people
privileged.
feel jealous of you. That's the primary
Yeah,
feeling,
maybe
maybe.
that. Maybe you have low self-worth and you think if you have a Ferrari, everyone will think that you're a big shot, so you feel good. Or maybe it will just genuinely that you feel the freedom of having the abundance, being able to drive the sexy convertible. It doesn't matter whether your perceived feeling is positive or negative, but you just have to, when you're manifesting, focus less on the physical object and more on how it makes you feel. Now, I can give you a YouTube clip that's going to be so powerful. If everybody wants to go and watch this YouTube video, it's
Sure,
called, I'm
I'll
sure I've
write
told
that
you
on
about.
my description. Just
Yeah,
share that to
it's
me on
called,
Messenger.
yeah, Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard.
Yeah.
That's
So-
incredibly powerful. And that technique, Feeling is the Secret, is exactly how I manifested my partner.
And then
And I
finally,
manifested, yeah.
partner in the sense your business partner or life partner?
No, like life partner.
Oh, nice, nice.
I'd been single for over a decade, and then I started doing Feeling is the Secret morning and night. And in less than 2 months, I'd met him, and we've been happily together for more than 12 months now.
Congratulations on that. That's a great news. I didn't know that, by the way. So, of course, just send me the link and I will add that to my description. Last question for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That is, we as Asian culture, in like Bangladeshi culture, Indian culture, this part of the world, subcontinent, we are known for uh, having our rich art and culture, and that part of the US, that is for like maybe for technology, right? So every part of the world have different things that they're known for. So you read a lot of Indian spiritual books. So could you please share a little bit about that? Like, what do you like, what do you don't like, and what we should read more and stuff. You actually suggested me at least more than 5 to 6 books of 6 of the books written by Indian author.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, at least five,
I,
six
I,
in many
I would
times
have said
since
I would
2020.
have, huh. I would have said I read a lot more American books, but one of the books I've got is called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Yeah,
A very
it's
famous
very
book for
big.
people in spiritual circles. Yeah. There's a lot of good things in that book. Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. You have refresh my memory. What books have I told you about? Um,
All
oh,
right.
I tell you one Indian book that I've read. Is very powerful. Is Autobiography of a Yogi by
Yeah,
Paramahansa
yeah, Yogi Raman.
Yogananda. Yeah. What was that?
Autobiography of Yogi, maybe.
Yeah, Autobiography of a Yogi. That's an incredible book. Um, I don't know if this is true, but it's been said that that is the only book that was on Steve Jobs's personal tablet. He only
Interesting.
had one book on his tablet, yeah, when he died. That's an incredible book. It teaches you about what is truly possible when you become, enlightened, or when your mind, body, and spirit are focused together in the same direction. And Sadhguru, speaking of Indian teachers, Sadhguru talks a lot
Yeah.
about this.
Jaggu.
He talks Yeah, he's got a cute little story about the Kalpavriksha. I can't say this properly. The Kalpavriksha tree or something. You know this?
Yeah, what is this? Just utter that
It's
for
like a
me.
wishing tree. It sounds like Kalpavriksha. I can send you the YouTube link if you want.
Sure,
It's like a
sure.
wishing tree. And when this man sat under the Kalpavriksha tree, everything that he thought immediately came true.
Interesting. There are many ancient stories like that. In our Hindu religion, there are four different lives of a person. Like, or not life, yug. You understand yug? We call it
Mm-mm.
decade, but it's actually yug. Means Satya Yug, Kali Yug, Kreta Yug, Dapur Yug. It means four different. How should I put it? How should I, well, like, how can I make you understand that? It's like different times. In Shatya Yug, it was like thousands years ago when there were big
Okay, like an
Maharajas
era.
era. Yes, so it
Yeah.
thousands years ago where like pyramids were made and people could, like, some people had extra ability. They could just do meditation and they could, like, fly. They had extra at that time there was no doctors, but they had special abilities of people. They could do some mantras. You understand mantras, right? And they could
Yeah, yeah.
just spell some mantras and treat a dog, treat a person, treat someone. So then after that, people started losing that, and people were normal regular guy was like 10 feet, 11 feet. But now, after a certain time, we just become smaller and smaller, smaller. So, do you have any knowledge about that?
No, no, not really about the ancient giant people. um,
But
you know,
dinosaurs, right?
yeah, teachers like Greg Braden, who's a really smart guy, are very interested in these types of things. I'm more of a selfish person. I'm more self-centered on my own life because, um, I'm the only one experiencing my life, and I can only experience my life. I can't experience your life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even experience my partner's life, and he lives in the same house with me. So I tend to just be very focused on what are my feelings and emotions? How am I feeling about my life? Am I happy? Am I making the choices that will take me to a life that makes me happy? Or am I continuing to complain about the same things over and over, which just creates more of the
Unhappiness.
unhappy stuff that I don't like. Yeah. So I've actually put all of my knowledge. So you want? I don't know if I showed you my book yet.
Maybe not.
Well, this here is my book, which is currently for sale on Amazon. It's called You Can
Oh,
Manifest Your
okay.
Dream
Did you
Life.
send the link of that as a PDF?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, then I read some part of it. Then I was too busy with my Dhaka life transportation for 2 3 hours, and I haven't read the full yet. I will read it.
No, that's okay. So this book contains my life, everything that I've learned about manifesting, about being happy, about some basic spiritual teachings that we need to incorporate into our life if we want to live a life that's worth living. Because a lot of people are living lives that are not worth living, and when they do that, they have to numb their emotional pain by drinking a lot of alcohol or doing drugs or killing themselves or all sorts of crazy stuff that we You
Yeah.
know, why would you invite that drama into your life when it really just requires a change of mindset, a change of perspective? No matter what your outside situation is, you can be happy on the inside, regardless of what's happening in your outside life. That's probably the most important thing that I've learned in my life so far, is
Yeah.
that my
So
happiness does not depend on the outside world, doesn't depend on the car I drive, the house I live in, the city I live in. My happiness depends on my thoughts, how much gratitude I have, and how present I am in the moment.
all right.
Um,
So when
yeah.
can my audience actually buy the book? We don't have Amazon here.
Uh, um, okay, if you don't have Amazon here, I don't know. All I can do is maybe send you a PDF copy of the book and say you can email it to anyone you want as long as they live in Bangladesh or India.
All right, that's interesting, and I'm sorry for not finishing the book. And I know when you are reading the, I mean,
Okay.
writing the book. I hope it is interesting, and yeah, that's about it. And the reason I mentioned about the yoga eras of things, so in that book, the autobiography, you can see there are many special abilities that are discussed there. People can
Mm-hmm.
do so. That was the reference that I was actually giving. Maybe it can be true, and there are some incidents where I don't know if it's a hoax or anything, or like a uh, extremely extremist people tried to make some points about Hindu religion, but they found some incidents where they actually thought this is true. Okay, how would you describe pyramids? How they made it? There is no way. So you can just think 5,000 years, 6,000 years ago, or maybe 8,000 years ago when the pyramids were made, there might be some situations where people had extra abilities, special abilities, because there were some enlightened people. They actually made it. Just a controversial statement. So that is why I mentioned it. Since in these books, you there are many benefits of enlightenment. People had extra abilities. They could like not eat for 10 days, 12 days, and they could just sit in one place and do their
Oh,
sadhana.
there are people that, yeah, there are people that have not eaten for years.
Yeah,
There are people that,
lama.
you know, like as he spoke about in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, he could be in two places at once. He could be on one side of
Exactly.
India and on the other side of India at the same moment. He could literally disappear from one place and appear in another place. Like, I have not mastered those abilities yet, but I do believe that this is entirely possible for us in our human bodies. All
Yeah.
we have to do is get our mind, body, and spirit aligned in the same going in the same direction. So this is the trouble with most people. Our mind's going that way, our body's going this way, and our spirit's going somewhere else, and we wonder why we can't achieve very much. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
because yeah. But anyway, that's another topic for another call, I think. But um,
Hundred
but
percent.
yeah, I do believe that you know, if magic and miracles are not a part of your daily life, then you're probably doing life a little bit wrong. I think in the Western world, we think of magic and miracles as some special thing that only happens on rare occasions. I don't think it has to be on rare occasions. I know when I've been really, really in the flow, when I've been doing a lot of meditating, and I'm very present and I'm very excited about what I'm doing in life, miracles do come sort of almost on a daily basis. You know, sometimes I can get like 3 great miracles in a week, and I just go, "Oh my God, how did that happen? I didn't plan that.
Yeah. I,
That happened
I
because I
don't
was vibrating at the right level."
I don't do regular meditations, but I used to do in 2020, 2021, 2022. But after that, when I moved to Dhaka, my I mean the capital city, then life was so busy and things were so messed up at that time, and I couldn't focus much on those things. But I can clearly tell you, I know what do you mean by miracles. You know, sorry, I just have a WhatsApp call. We are also in the end of our meeting, so I can clearly tell you some of the miracles. Like in one day in Dhaka, I was just roaming around and I didn't have much money for next 3 days, and it was 28th day, and I will get the salary on 5th of next month. So 5th, maybe 5th November, and I don't have enough money. I cannot ask to anyone. And suddenly, I just got a freelance client. You know, I work in digital marketing. I do a lot of consultancy freelancing work. A client showed up and he just gave me 15,000 Bangladeshi taka. It's like, how should I put it? It's like mm, a lot of money actually. So he just gave me that money in advance, out of nowhere. I just met that guy in online for like 5 to 6, 7 days ago, and he just showed up and said, "Brother, I just want to see you in real life. All right. So here is my proposal. I understand what you do. So here is the advance. You just get it done." And I was like, oh my god, that's interesting. That was not planned, that never happened with me. And I was in need of money, and I thought, who should I ask? Because I'm not a good comfortable asking for money to my parents even. So I can understand exactly, see what do you mean by miracle. There are many incidents like I was supposed to go with a bus and I missed that bus, and that bus actually had an accident. How should you describe it? How would you describe it? There is no description.
I think I remember this. You told me
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
I told you this back in on our first two calls. So yeah, I understand what you say, and I really believe in most of the things. And I really had a lot of questions that I written, but maybe will not be able. I mean, will not possible at that call. So we have to sit once again if you're comfortable, and we will share our life updates. I think in 2, 3, 4
Absolutely.
years. Yeah, 2, 3, 4 years, I have grown myself as well. When I was starting, currently I'm using a MacBook. So
Hmm.
when we
Yeah.
had our first
I
call,
remember when you didn't have a laptop and
I
you were
didn't have
so
a
sad
laptop.
about that.
Yeah, and now I have a full setup. I am recording with my iPhone. I have my MacBook. I have my good microphone. I have my light. I have my big giant monitor because I work in digital marketing. So life changed a little bit, not too much. Then I was living in two rooms apartment. Now I'm living in like a big giant apartment with my parents. So things happen, things change. I'm not a wealthy person now, but I am more comfortable than 2020. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
about it. I just wanted to talk about it, and thank you for showing up. Hi, what's his name?
Her name is Tilly.
Oh, her name is Chili. Chili.
Tilly. Tilly.
Chili. All right, nice.
Crazy.
How many cats do you have?
Just one. Just one. Yeah,
Interesting.
she was born under the last house we lived in to the wild mother. And
Nice.
she showed up in the driveway at 5 o'clock one morning, meowing her head off. And we brought her inside, and she's basically never left.
Interesting. So
Anyway,
maybe some special power sent it to you so that you can take care of her.
I think so. I think so
Yeah.
for sure. I think she was very smart choosing us.
All right. So
Cool.
again, Tab, thanks for showing up, and we'll keep still be in contact, and yeah, we'll talk soon. So I can just
Yeah,
stop the
let's do
recording.
this again.